what does narcissistic parenting look like? My mom treated me like a trophy when I succeeded, but when I needed real emotional support, she ignored me. Is this what defines narcissistic parenting, or are there other signs I should look for?
Well, there's a lot of signs to a narcissist for sure, as we know. But one of the things I think that I wanted to talk about with that, the trophy when I succeeded, real emotional support, a narcissist doesn't have any emotional depth. So becoming, where having connection with a narcissistic parent is about performing. It's not about emotional intimacy. It's not about nurturing. It's not about support. It may have the optics where it looks like it, but really at the end of the day, it is about performance and what they need. So a person can certainly start to wonder if there's no depth to the relationship and it's all about performance. But other things I would tell the person to look for are the how often they're able to take responsibility for themselves, to apologize, to humble themselves, to be a little more vulnerable, with their children in communication, in being willing participants in communication, in not being rigid with the way that they think. Having a conversation doesn't mean you have to agree, but it does mean that you're able to talk. And oftentimes, a narcissist has got such rigidity and limitations. They will limit conversations and shut it down and insult you or shame you or, so many different tactics because they don't want to make room for anything other than what they think. So I really think, to me, the biggest sign is that emotional immaturity piece of just not having any tolerance for anything outside of whatever their limited belief system needs to believe in order to feel relevant. That's
Okay. Yeah,
mm,
emotional immaturity. I think that's very clear sign.
mhm,
And I was also when I was like reading this comment,
mhm,
they are asking, is this like what defines narcissistic parenting? So they are saying that their mom treated them like a trophy when they succeeded, but when they needed real emotional support, they got ignored. So I
mhm.
think this really highlights how narcissistic parents use their children to like fulfill their own emotional needs. So your achievements boosted probably your mom's like ego
Yeah,
or self-esteem or social image.
yeah,
That's her needs.
yeah,
But then when you needed something, so it's
yeah.
not like their needs, it's your needs, they neglect that. And because your needs just are either inconvenience or don't serve their agenda or priorities. So you can clearly see kind of in narcissistic parenting, I believe, like pattern of conditional attention and emotional neglect. And I think that really ties into also the
Yeah.
emotional immaturity, because if you're mature, you don't give attention conditional, you are consistent there for your
Mhm.
child and do not definitely neglect emotionally
Yeah,
your child.
absolutely. It's such a role reversal. I mean, if a person wants to really wonder about it, they could really just sit and think exactly what you said is, were my needs ever considered? Did I feel guilty if I had a need? Was I feeling like I could approach the parent and feel my own vulnerability being received by them? Or as you said, was I neglected? Was I rejected? Was I shamed? Was I dismissed? It's about the parentification of a child because that role reversal happens where the parent is needing the child to take care of them and to take care of their needs. And then the child is sort of feeling like, sometimes you wonder how any children survive narcissistic parenting because they don't really have a chance to understand what it's like to feel safe with needs and to feel safe to be seen and to make mistakes and to learn and have wisdom. Anyway, it's but the parentification thing is big. They never are allowed to be children and to really have that freedom and that safety to develop the way that they need to. The parent is always, in a way, the child, but it's confusing because they're the parent. So it really does, a job on a person's mind trying to figure out why the parent deserves all the attention and the needs to be fulfilled, but they're shamed for having any of their own. When they might look around at their friends or look around on TV or whatever and see attentive parenting, people that really have that unconditional love and really champion their children. And then they start reflecting and understanding, I've never felt that. I've never seen that wholesome kind of upbringing. I've always attended to the parent instead, which doesn't make sense, maybe.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. So to sum it up again, like, well, first of all, this little comment here reflects very well narcissistic parenting because it's about kind of conditional attention and emotional neglect paired that kind of pattern. And then you also gave other signs such as emotional immaturity and parentification big time. And
Mhm.
you Do you have any other kind of self-reflective questions? Because I think that was, you gave some, you said something like, did you feel like you could approach your parent, or did you
Right.
feel like you could, trust your concerns with them, or did you get emotional support? Do you have any others that come to your mind? Like, because it's
Um,
sometimes easier to ask yourself, did those things
yeah,
happen?
yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think for a lot of people, it really only starts to resonate again as you get older. But I would say another sign maybe, do you feel even as an adult that you restrict yourself because you're unsure, that you have doubt, that you have a lot of insecurities and you're very self-conscious about even approaching your adult relationships with a sense of safety because you've been conditioned. So if you're already noticing a bit of a limitation within yourself and your fears of how people receive you or how much you feel like you can trust who you are, and that you're not always abandoning yourself for other people. I mean, that's another sign. Do you always feel that you have to abandon yourself in order to maintain a connection to people? Do you tend to end up feeling that the only way to feel safe is to perform and to make sure that everybody else is taken care of? For some people, they start taking on that pride-based defense of it's good to make sure everybody else is okay and not me. So I think I would also say to people, if you reflected on what are you proud of about who you are, and then take a look at it and wonder, is that a pride-based defense because I was surviving a situation that I wasn't in charge of, but I was trying to problem solve and figure out how to be a part of it because I was trying to make sense of it. So it can be that, these pride-based defenses become a sign of what we've had to endure and try to not feel so shut down by it, try to make sense of it and feel good about it, even though it may not be healthy for us.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, that I think ties very well what you said in the beginning, because narcissistic people, they don't have that emotional depth, and the bonds that, if you can call them bonds even, but like they form are based on performance. So
Yeah.
this, like, do you feel like you approach relationships as that I need to perform in some way? So a
Yeah.
sign of narcissistic parenting is that lacks the emotional depth and it's based on performance,
Yeah.
transaction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's confusing because in short, I will say that for many people, children of narcissistic parents, or I didn't get that out right, children of narcissistic parents often look very successful in life. They tend to be perfectionists. They tend to be hard workers, resilient, all the qualities that further kind of gaslights people from thinking, was there anything wrong in that family? Because everybody looks like they're doing pretty darn good. When in the reality is that there's a lot of emotional damage inside. So I think that's another thing for people to remember is you get very used to the optics. So people might look good, dress well, have beautiful homes, keep themselves looking, very manicured, whatever, because image is everything. Go to church, do the right, have the right social groups, whatever. But it means in some manner they could be hiding a lot of emotional pain because that performance piece and the image piece was always what was highlighted. That was the thing that was important to the narcissist to gain favor again with them and to keep the mood and everything just perfect in the home.